Alright, everybody, let's sound off. PC editor Jordan Devore.
Hello, everybody.
Contributor Brett Zeidler.
Hey.
And I am news editor Conrad Zimmerman. Let's talk about the big news of the week. So, apparently, Rage on PC is just absolutely appalling, according to Jim Sterling and
many other people.
Many other people.
Sounds like it's the worst PC port of a console game in history.
Okay. Now, I haven't played Rage or really anything else but Team Fortress 2 on a PC, so what's the problem?
It's a driver issue, I'm pretty sure, right? So it was one of those...
I don't know.
No, I'm 99% sure it's a driver issue, and it was where... So they had it all set up in their development studio, and it worked fine. It's one of those situations. So then they released it, and apparently AMD put out the wrong drivers, and that just completely it completely screwed the game up. So that was part of their problem. And then they put out working drivers, or what they said were working drivers, and apparently that was incompatible with certain other games. So it was like, oh, hey, now you can kind of play Rage, but you can't play anything else. So just really a bad situation.
I had a friend, he streamed the game for me, so I was watching him play it. And he has a monstrosity that he calls a computer. And it was working perfectly. None of the problems that people, like the texture popping, I can't really think of it. That was mostly the biggest issue, was the texture popping.
I think there might have been
he didn't have any of that. Like, the thing, it was running perfectly. But that kind of sucks that you have to have, that you have to drop that much money on a computer just to get Rage to work right. So that just screams poor optimization. But I don't know.
So how far are we from it fixed? I mean,
I see. That's the thing, is I've heard conflicting reports. I think some people never really had issues, but most did. It's hard to say as someone who doesn't have the game myself.
See, I love PC gaming, but like this is
the down.
Every
this is
new
the bad
PC
side
game that comes out, it's like there's always people have issues right off the start.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I stopped PC gaming in the first place. It seemed every game that came out was going to require me to wait a week or two before they had a patch that fixed something. And in the older, back in the olden days when I was a young whippersnapper in PC gaming, I mean, the internet proliferation of patches was not nearly as good as it is today. So it could have been months, and you might have had to get it on a CD somewhere. And
in a back alley.
Yeah, exactly. It was distributed on message boards, and what a pain in the ass. And then, as console games connected to the internet, and we started seeing more and more of this happening on console games, it's just disheartening all around. Yeah. Nobody wins with patches.
Yeah, my new policy is to not buy the game in the first month, because by then it'll have a sale anyways. So
yeah,
well, and
that's doing that.
That's the killer, too, is that the industry is so dependent on week one sales that having something that doesn't work in the first week and getting that press that it doesn't work has got to be murder on sales.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. But here, the console version's working fine. But, yeah.
Thank God for that. All right, moving on. Speaking of console games, Sony has confirmed that they will use online passes in all online-enabled titles from the company going forward.
Surprise.
Yay.
Who could have seen this coming?
I don't have a problem with online passes, but I try to think, because I recently bought a PS3 during the summer. Like, what if I had waited, till next summer, and then I went back and bought, tons of games that I missed. If I would have done that next summer, I would have had to either buy them all new and spend a lot more money, or buy them used and spend the same amount of money. So it's like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with online passes because I usually buy new games. But that sucks for people that want to jump in PS3 and they think, well, if I get a PS3, all the PS3 exclusives are going to have online passes. That sucks.
Well, but they've been getting free online forever.
That's also true, yeah.
And then here we have the publishers of the games having to deal with Sony and get their stuff up there, and they're not recouping anything really from that. So they're losing money on their resources. Sony's not getting anything back on the used game sales, so they're losing out on resources. And I mean, I have a hard time defending the used games market. I value it as a consumer, but I can't blame the industry for attacking it as ruthlessly as they do. Now, does that mean I'm going to buy less new games because I can't, afford to buy as many games as I would use? That could happen. But on the whole, I think that the practice of online passes is kind of justifiable from the perspective of them needing to recoup some money for what they're spending out.
I think from their perspective, it's totally justified. But on the outside looking in, I guess it does kind of suck. I mean,
well, and the bigger problem as I see it,
used games.
The bigger problem as I see it is that they're putting a barrier between legitimate consumers of the product and playing their game. Now, if I buy a game new, I do have to stop and do something else, some other stupid thing to play my game.
That's my big issue.
Sony has, I buy a game, I open a package, I put it in the tray. Then it does a mandatory install of just about every game I buy.
Yep.
Then there's a patch because I probably didn't buy it on day one. But even if I did, let's face it, there's probably a patch. So then I have to wait for it to download and install that. Now you're telling me I have to install an online pass as well. It's just one more little irritation that makes me less enjoying my games. But I'm still going to do it, so who am I kidding?
Yeah, you know, I've got a side thought. This is not related at all. But, the seamless achievement or trophy list, sync? You know how if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you get that? You don't have to see it load trophies.
Oh, you mean you don't have to wait for it to drag its ass and figure out?
I'm a PlayStation Plus member. It still does it. Just a side thought. It's still I click on a name and I have to wait for it to load. Even my own trophies, I have to click and wait for it to load.
Sony's servers are indefensible in my book. I never have a good experience whenever I need to transfer a file from it. Buying now their store is great. The store is really well managed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just takes forever to get patches and updates and things like that. And then, PSN fans are going to come out and say, oh, I never have those problems.
Yeah,
lucky for you.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm the only one then, right?
Right, apparently. Well, speaking of console services and online, Xbox 360 announced a whole ton of TV content coming to the platform in the coming months. Some 20 countries supported, whole bunch of channels and networks coming into that. It's not going to be the death of the cable box, though, I don't think. But it's interesting to see how Microsoft is continuing to sort of put their focus on
since when did my gaming console become a cable box?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I just don't care about TV. I want to play video games on my Xbox 360.
It's funny because I would think a lot of people would feel the opposite with just with Netflix alone.
Yeah, I never use Netflix. I just want to play games. I want more games. I don't want more TV. I have a TV. I have cable. I want more games.
Well, look at you king in the castle.
Just got it all figured out, don't you, Brett?
I do.
We can't all be rich.
You can't all have cable with our 55 channels.
Our color TV.
That's right. No, I like the prospect of being able to get Sci-Fi Channel on my Xbox, because I don't have cable, and I don't want to pay for a whole bunch of channels, but I would be interested in an a la carte, there's a few channels I wouldn't mind having.
Doesn't this signal like an increase in Xbox Live membership? Because didn't that happen last year when they got ESPN and Hulu? They raised it to $60 a year.
I think that was supposed to be covering stuff going forward to some extent, but
yeah, I don't expect a rate. I think $60 a year is sort of the comfortable price point that they can afford to keep it at and expect subscribers to be happy to do it. It's the cost of a game. If you go over the cost of a game a year for online, I would expect some open revolt.
Victory.